Hey everybody, good morning. Holy moly, guacamole. Infinity, Larry, David, Eric, Donald, Merle, Sergio. Hey, I said something myself. Michael, Everett, Wade, Nikki. Sorry, I sometimes it's the little things that amuse me, like talking to myself. Anyway, Sledge, morning. Ed, Andreas, Mary, Tara, Svenborn. Glad to see you from all the way in Iceland. Philip, Indy, Jan, General Rush. Good morning, sir. Gregory, Darren, Rex, Rungamer, have fun at Tesla. Goose, Goose. Lieutenant Colonel Goose, glad to have you. Randy, Infinity, hey everybody. If you want to say hey, you want to chat with me while we're on here live, all you got to do, be a subscriber. Hit the button over here in the corner, the little green button with my logo on it. Be a subscriber to the channel. Opens up chat while we're live streaming. If we're no longer live streaming, you know, I start about 9:15 every morning, and after about, I don't know, 45 minutes to an hour, yesterday we went a little longer. When I get done saying my piece, I end the stream, and then you'll have to leave a comment down below. So, hey, Ralph. Yeah, Salah. Anyway, Kimberly, my lovely bride, in the house this morning. Glad to have everybody. So, anyway, how about the GDP numbers right here? Coming in light, right? 3.2. Trade balance coming in light. Interesting, right? Interesting. Does that fit the narrative? I don't know. We were estimating 3.3. We got a 3.2. I don't think they matter. I was kind of expecting flat. If you rewind back to yesterday's conversation on this, basically in line with my expectation. We don't usually get giant surprises. They cook all the books on the revisions. So preliminary, flat. Yeah, Bitcoin. Yeah, going higher. Imagine that. Raise your hand if anybody remembers for the last year how I've been talking about the supply squeeze that would happen after we got these spot ETFs. Anybody at all remember how I said we would take 10 to 15% of the liquid Bitcoin supply out of the market with those spot ETFs? That's what's happening. Those ETFs are soaking up supply. It's probably going to take them almost a year for that to happen. And the more it happens, what supply and demand, economics 101. Anybody that's been to college, maybe even high school, economics 101. Supply goes down, even with demand flat. What happens? Anybody know? Let me know in the chat if anybody knows. Demand can remain constant, and if supply decreases, economics 101. We can even pull up the chart on that. Dun, 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 dun. It's interesting. Maybe really nice looking ones. There's a good one. Supply decreases. Demand remains the same. Price has to go up. Up, and away. The quantity available. The supply. And they're not, supply is a fixed rate at this point. New Bitcoins are a fixed rate, and they're actually going to decrease. So the supply curve is actually going down in the future, and we just have a fixed supply. So when fixed supply, and when you take them out of the market and you lock them up, then, what happens? Well, but trading view is running a little slow. This is what happens. Up, and away. And look at all these other cryptos hitting alerts here this morning. Up, up, and away. All-time highs right up here. Not far away. That's crazy, right? The big overlying arrow. May we get a pullback? I don't know. We might. We might not. The pullback may be small enough from up here if we're going to do a FOMO rally. So this already seeing headlines on the FOMO rally too. Look at this. I'm going to pull this up here if I can find it really quickly. Right here. And pop it out to a new window. How do I do that? There it is. Right here. Look. FOMO, even Reuters, how do you say that? Reuters, calling this FOMO. All right. Be freaking careful. FOMO never ends good. All right. We'll probably reach some sort of top and get a violent pullback. Arguably, we're seeing that with SMCI. It keeps drifting lower and lower and lower. Spiking, drifting off. So watch out for that. We may accelerate lower at some point. All it takes is somebody going, I think we should dump that. I think we should book profit. Being up this many 100%, maybe a good time to book some profit. And so be careful. Anyway. All right. How's everybody doing? Doing good? I mean, Bitcoin's rocking it. It's going to be volatile. All right. Be careful. I can't stress that enough to please be careful. We are now, one of the interesting notes here, I was talking about this last night, is that Bitcoin, well, from last night when I was doing 30 minutes of awesome, only had about 20% upside to go to the all-time high. Now it's about 15%. This one right here, dun, 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 dun. Interestingly enough, look from right here, well, pre-market's on up a little bit, 28.45. Look back over here. Look at that, 54%. Ouch. So not all ETFs are created equal. Not all ETFs created equal. Be careful out there, all right? This thing has costs. This thing has management. This thing has a dividend also. Dividend yield indicated 12.29%. So expense ratio about 1%. That money comes out. You're holding options. Watch out. If we adjust it for the dividends, pull it on down. Yeah, now we're in line. Back in line, closer to in line with actual Bitcoin. So if you're holding options and not holding the shares, you're missing out on that extra chunk of money. Be careful, all right? So I always tell you you got to understand the whole picture, understand what you're trading. You got to read the prospectus on these things. All right, if you don't, come hang out with me. We can discuss it, particularly in my Termite Trading Lab VIP group. That's where I focus on diving into all that kind of information and sharing. So if you have the questions, that's the place to ask them. If you're not in the Termite Trading Lab VIP group, well, as somebody said yesterday, it may have been the best investment of his life, as he told me in a private message. So it seemed expensive at the time. He has already made, I think, 30 times the money in just a few short months. 30 times return. So I'm not saying that would happen to you, but it's valuable. Very, extremely valuable. I give out my best information in that group. And if you're new to the group, just chill. I mean, it's like drinking from a fire hose, getting the full access to JT. So anyway, morning monster. What's moving today? S&P looking a little not as awesome. Still grinding here. And as Goose and I had this conversation yesterday. Look at this. This is interesting, I thought. Let's pull this one up. And for whatever reason, it doesn't have my... I drew these lines on here. Let's just pop this on. So S5TH, stocks above their 200-day moving average. We'll pop this one on here. Edit the settings, coordinates 80. Right there. And lock it in. And then we'll grab another one. We'll throw it down here. And we'll actually edit that one to be 20. And we'll lock it in. And we'll save the chart. Look at this. Make sure it's not in log mode. We haven't been out of the range. Above 80 or below 20 on stocks above their 200-day moving average. Since all the way back here at the bottom. We've never taken the S&P 500 stocks above their 200-day moving average. We've never had breadth on this whole move off the bottom. Never had. We had breadth on the drop in 22. But we've not had breadth. And we had breadth on the drop here in October. That was grinding down. We didn't quite get all the way below 20, but we got dang close. We got close to popping above 80. Really close. But now look, drifting off. Look over here. Anybody remember the top in January 22? Look where the top of this was. This thing ground down as the S&P 500 went up. That's pretty wild. How can you get in the VIP group? Hold on one second. Let me I'll grab the link. There's a link in the questions and answers channel from a few days back. Let me I'll throw it in the chat here. It's an application process. If Will was on top of it, my intern, he'd be all over it, but he's not. Let's see. Just giving him a hard time. Let's see. Where was it? Right here. Control C and I'll paste it in here. Control V right here. Go to that link. jeffreytrader.com/inquire right there. Fill out the form. Somebody will contact you. There we go. All right. And even General Rush. Look at that. General Rush. He's a real general. Real deal general. I'm not just calling him General Rush. Right there. Best investment of my investing career. Right there. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. And so if you're interested in coming to join me, get all full access right there. jeffreytrader.com/inquire. I think there's only 2 slots left at the current pricing before we bump it up. The pricing is tiered, and the more members join, the higher the cost is to join. So anyway, this is interesting. I think that stocks above their 200-day declined as we went into the high. And on a smaller scale, that's kind of what we have right now. You know, S5, FI, definitely a big decline off of that. And back here in 22, we saw a similar, we actually saw this becoming violent. We made the top back here similarly right here, like we did on the stocks above the 200-day. And then we dropped down and got some violence into the high that we saw right here. Oh, MSTR. I bet you. Can I get the fill? Didn't get filled yet. 950 was my target. See if it'll pop through. There it went. I saw 952. I had to get a fill. Had to get a fill. That was like a guaranteed fill. Not yet. Didn't get the alert yet. I saw 952. Anybody else see 952? I saw 952. So what's the high? Yeah, 952. Open. High 954. I should have filled. So, I went for 950. Watch out for retrace at this point. If I compare S5, it's not going to look right because S5TH is an oscillator and S&P is not. So, well, I mean, we can compare it, but it's not going to look right. See, I mean, it's just not gonna. It just up and away. Like it only is comparable in small windows, I think. So it's just not gonna be a great comparison tool. ES bleeding off a little bit. Is the money flowing into the ETFs out of the broader market? Typically, when we're in a Bitcoin halving run, we see the market and Bitcoin up at the same time, but that's not exactly what's happening right now. We're seeing a lot of money just flow into Bitcoin and related stuff. So, and right here, total market cap of crypto. Look at that, popped above 2 trillion yesterday. Still rocking and rolling. 3 trillion is the all-time high. So, despite the fact that Bitcoin is getting near its all-time high, we're still lagging on this thing. Come on, there it is, right up here. So there's still a bunch of money left to flow into crypto to really get things cooking and excited. Let's go ahead and set alert up there. Just curious on that. ES. Looking like pulling back. NQ. Looking like we're pulling back. If you're like, what the devil are ES and NQ? Maybe you're new to this whole thing. I look at the futures because they show me the overnight action. All right. When we jump down the time frame, we can see how this thing's been behaving overnight. Not really the strongest, and actually breaking below the 30-minute roadmap line, back testing. This may indicate we're going to see some further downside action here. I would be very cautious. This is very corrective and overlapping. It's not an impulsive down yet, so we may see further upside. We may get one more pop. This looks like we may be correcting, and we may get one more pop into those targets. And we have the target right there at 5150 on ES. That's S&P 500's futures. ES1 exclamation point. If you're looking for it on a platform, it's probably /ES. I know that's the way it works on trading, Tasty Trade. NQ right here. That's QQQ. That's NASDAQ's futures right there. And we may pop that one. 18.4. It's kind of my target. 18,400 right up there. And Russell was showing strength yesterday, but making a lower high and retracing a little bit. It's interesting. Kind of setting up a little head and shoulders situation, potentially. If that breaks down, probably heading down here. A lot of people are saying that the small caps are being strong. I think maybe it was just crypto miners taking that higher in the small caps. I did not see a breadth on small caps, especially when you look at R2FI. That's Russell 2000. That's IWM stocks above their 50-day moving average. Look where we are. We're only at 48. That's not a squeeze. That's not any kind of like super squeeze, small cap blast off. All right, that's very narrow participation in pushing Russell higher right now. And that's why I think it's probably just crypto miners driving those prices higher. So be careful here. All right. The warning lights are on in the cockpit, if you so to speak, that something's amiss in the market. These probably going to roll. Bigger correction could take hold. Please be careful. I cannot say that. Cannot stress that enough. Would it take crypto down with it? It's hard to say. Crypto has traditionally been a very risk on, risk off asset, but right now we're in something unique, the supply squeeze. All right. And the halving event coming up. Got 7,500 Bitcoins left to go. About 51 days, roughly, give or take. A day or two. So this is the main event right here. I've been speculating that we would see a FOMO squeeze take hold 30 to 45 days out. I missed it by 6 days or something, 7 days. We started a little bit early, 53 days out, I guess. It's a FOMO rally. It really is. Like, people are scared of missing out, and combine that with the supply squeeze. I mean, that's essentially what's happening. Is they're perpetuating the supply squeeze. They're dumping money into those new spot ETFs. We're seeing higher volumes traded in those spot ETFs than we're seeing in SPY and QQQ. So it's a unique situation. Don't expect it to continue forever, but hopefully you're on board and taking advantage of it. I mean, this is it's what I've been talking about for years, trying to get everybody prepared for, and it's happening. It's happening, sweetheart. We're seeing oil try to break out. If this can hold a daily close above here, we're probably headed to this area right here. If we can actually maintain a breakout right up here. If we reject it here in a little bit, more of the sideways garbage. Gold, interesting here. We were down pretty good on gold. Now we're popping back up a little bit, but just turning sideways, similar to what oil's been doing, just turning sideways. And we pop basically above 2050 on the gold futures. This is gold futures. That was oil futures. CL1 is oil futures. GC is gold futures. Pop above this, rocket out. All right. Probably going higher. Not looking back. How do you trade like oil and gold? You got to go to things like UCO, USO for oil. You got to go to like GLD or some of the other ones that I've said. And remember, miners aren't, just like in crypto, miners aren't gold. Gold isn't miners. All right. They trade independently. They don't trade necessarily one-to-one. So, all right. Glad to have you, Anastasia. Glad to have you. All righty. And remember, the Discord is all of my members that want to go deeper, and the Termite Trading Lab is a very small group inside Discord that has full access to everything. So Discord is a crazy big place with like 60 channels and content. But depending on your level of access, you only get a few to start out with. So just throwing that out there. I do have different levels of support. And I do appreciate everybody that supports me no matter what level they're able to afford. DXY, potentially bouncing off the roadmap line. Watch for a retest of the resistance above us at 104. If we get above, probably going to 109. If we don't, and we break down below the bottom over here where we were finding support in February and January, probably coming on down here to the mid-90s ultimately. Alrighty. MSTR. Why did I pick 950? Dun, 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 dun. Look at this. It was conservative exit for the log mode 1618. I strongly feel that, other people would argue with me very adamantly. I strongly feel that fib lines are kind of these fuzzy zones right here. And I like to go conservative. Like everybody knows how to run these fib lines. All right, the very popular ones, 1272, 1618. And I went conservative on my number, 950. Thinking we pop up there, probably come up just a tad shy and get a retrace. And then look exactly what we're doing. Now, if you run it the non-log way, it was at 900. And we came up shy of that one. And then we popped a little further. So which one's correct? I don't know. I tend to go with log mode on stuff moving more than $50, but sometimes, I mean, it's very subjective. All right. It's art, if you will, not so much science on which one you want to use. The non-log mode is more conservative. If I gotten out at 900, would have been cool. I got in at 500 right here, in at 500, out at 450. Dang, that was a pretty dang good return. Let's do the math on that. That was just shares too. I just bought straight shares, not options. You could have done options. That was freaking expensive. I went with shares, 90% return on shares. And we got in, what, right here? Late January, out here today, late 1 month. 90%, 1 month. You're telling me you can't make money on shares? I mean, I've heard that so many times the last year or so. People are like, oh, you can't make any money on shares. I made 90% return in a month. I can just quit the rest of the year and beat the S&P probably. I mean, I started doing shares because predicting time on options is difficult. It's just hard. And 2, I wanted to show people like you that you can do this with shares. You don't have to get the phone. You don't have to do options if you don't want to. I mean, please be careful out there. All right. EM. EME. That's another crazy. I mean, what in the world is going on there? No idea. This one hadn't made any of my lists till today. Interesting. Be careful. That's going straight exponential. Exponential stuff tends to come right back. Janix. What is it? What sector is that? Engineering construction. MCore. Did y'all see the U.S. Army gonna discontinue having engineers? It's just the most ridiculous stuff. I mean, we can't fill the engineering positions, so we're just gonna discontinue having engineers in the Army, and we'll just subcontract all that out. Stupidest decision. We're just gonna lose knowledge, unbelievable knowledge, doing that. Janix Therapeutics. There's a biotech. One of these biotechs yesterday announcing that they had a small trial for cancer drugs and kind of made the whole sector go a little nutty. I mean, look at that. LABU, this is leverage and biotech. I mean, it's like a double whammy. If I could put both of them on the same screen, both of them on the screen at the same time, I would. It's leverage and it's a biotech. It's leveraged biotech. I mean, the worst kind, right? Anyway, be careful. That was a reverse split, 1 for 20. Not exactly the most bullish right there. But, hey, that one may shoot up to 220 right there. And I jumped way down the list on that one. Coin. Reaching for the stars. 250. My target area up here. 250 to 270. It never triggered my entry. Not on that train. I was on the train back here from, I think we got in at 40 or 50. I think we got in $50 calls at 40, and we rode those babies up. Quite a nice ride. I made several 100% on that one. Off the train now, just watching and waiting. No opportunity for me there. If you're the kind that just feels the fear, you got to control that emotion. All right. You got to control the emotion. Wait for the good setups. That's where the good money comes from. GTLS. Choppy sideways. Nothing. FSLR. Grinding down. If we break below these lows, probably coming on down to 116. This is not bullish. Don't let anybody convince you now's the time to buy. It'll set up a good pattern if now's the time to buy. I mean, maybe we miss it. I don't know. If the opportunity's there, it'll set up a good pattern. AXON right here. It's kind of like Everybody's like, why don't you talk more about NVIDIA? Because the trade went away from me. Like, I was in back here when nobody else was even, like, people blew me off because I got in right there. I got in there. Why did I get in there? It was the fib pattern. Right there. It did my classic reversal fib pattern. I got in there. We went to ridiculous levels up here around 300. I got out. Should I have stayed in? Not for me. That was really good money. I was in shares. More than double my money. I mean, now it's done this. I don't care. That's ridiculous. You got to be careful. All right? Trade the things. Like, once things get ridiculous, it gets unpredictable. I mean, the one thing we can predict is this is eventually going to retrace this back out. Just be careful out there. I cannot stress that enough. Oh, I must have mistyped that. Oh, I did mistype that one. Anybody jump on this one yesterday? Saying just buy some of this? Look at that. Craziness. That's leverage on Bitcoin. If you want to trade Bitcoin in a leverage way, just buy some shares. You want to really ramp up your leverage, buy some options, but that's like playing with fire while you're soaked in gasoline right there. Be careful. How high could that go? Way high. That's what I would say. We're talking like 100, you know, could go even higher. I mean, this is a 2x on Bitcoin. Whatever percentage Bitcoin goes up, this will go up more percentage. So we're looking at right now targets on Bitcoin 150 to 300,000. So take that, you know, we're talking 3x. You know, if we just go to 180, that'd be 3x from where we are at 60,000. So 3x leverage 2 times, talking 300%. That gets to be ridiculous numbers. All right, ridiculous numbers. Close the calculator. Pop it back up. So we're talking 40. Say 40. Well, say 43. 43 times 3x times 2 leverage. Talking 258. Yeah, that'd be pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. So 42 up to 258. That's the power of leverage on something crazy. Hey, you buy a couple shares. $40. Make sure you would light it on fire though. We may get a pullback. You got to be able to stomach the pullback. How long? How long is it going to take? Probably up to 25 to get up in that area. I don't think we're going there yet. I think we'll get a pullback, but the pullback may not be a big pullback. Crazy keeps being crazy. I mean, no other chart shows that better right now than this chart right here. Crazy just keeps being crazy. This was crazy at 200 and it's still crazy. It was super crazy at 1080 and watch out for this one to drop out. Just wet the bed, fall out, laugh on the floor. I think we're coming back, and it's just a matter of time. Usually these take about three to 4 weeks to come back down to a level where then they just start drifting down. You may be like, JT, I don't believe you. I mean, it's okay. Hopefully you believe me if you're here, but you know, it's okay. We can talk about this one real quick. And let's see, Jimmy did a split back here, a 4x split. So remember this one? We popped up, retraced, pop up. Hadn't looked back. Similarly crazy. We popped and came all the way down, popped again, down, popped again. It took a while to settle out, but eventually it's going to happen. Need another example? Bum, 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 bum. This one happened like once. twice, you may be like, but you don't understand. SMCI, like they're gonna sell GPU, AI is gonna take over the world, and until it doesn't. I mean, until somebody else comes up with something, a different idea on how to do it. There's no monopoly on AI at this point. This one sitting at $1. How high has it been? 300. High, getting high was getting high. Uh-oh. Oil breaking above my level. Firing off the alert. All right, moving on. I don't even remember where I was. And that one's being crazy. CRNX. That's a biopharma. I don't like biopharma. It doesn't follow my patterns. There's like a number of things. Stuff under $10 doesn't follow my patterns. China stuff doesn't follow my patterns all the time. Biotech pharma doesn't follow my patterns. And leverage stuff doesn't follow my patterns. So be careful trying to apply what I do to things like leverage stuff. It doesn't always work. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. So Umbrella looks like a horrible chart despite beating earnings, but they just keep losing money. It's never a good sign. There's another one. Went exponential. Another lesson. I mean, that looks almost like what we're doing on SMCI. Look. One of these days, we're going to drop back down. Flywire. Crazy pop. Right in the middle of nothing. I don't know. Nasty chart. IPOs are not bullish. We made the low here. This is not looking very bullish so far off the lows. VTVT. Nasty. ALC. Just sideways choppy. Garbage. Race continues the race to the top. One of these days, we're going to retrace. But not today, apparently. Keep extending, keep extending, keep extending. The retrace level keeps coming up a little bit the higher we go. Come on, quit. Eventually, we're going to come back down, though. More than likely. There's Goose's favorite grilling meat right there. Beyond Meat. Just kidding, Goose. Just kidding. I don't think you could force feed me this stuff. Ugh. Just the concept of it just seems gross to me. And watch out for that. BA&D, bandwidth, just choppy sideways. I don't know. Nothing yet. Nothing at all. ARKB. That's Bitcoin ETF. There's a bunch of those on here this morning. BTCO, another one. IXHL, biotech, choppy, biomed tech, whatever. Another one. GBTC. This was the only spot ETF that has enough data. All-time high right here, 58. Could be heading up to 72. But really, this is just a proxy for Bitcoin's chart. So be careful. This one didn't make a higher high on the second. So this has got some sort of, I guess the costs have eaten, ate into this, and we didn't make a higher high right there. This does have high management costs. They charge 1.5% per year, and they take that out daily. They divide 1.5% by 365 days and take it out daily out of the price when they rebalance every day, when they buy their Bitcoin. So they take their fee daily. Be careful. That's the way ETFs work. FBTC, that's Fidelity's. They're a self-custodian on their spot ETF. Yeah, the two I like the best. I'd probably spread my money between BlackRock and if I was in the market to do spot ETFs, I don't want to pay the expense. I just go buy the Bitcoin straight. I mean, there's no expense when you buy the Bitcoin straight, especially if you're going to hold it a while. Mora popping up. Can we break up to? You know, we did the classic pattern. Anybody? Look, we hit the 1272. Retrace back to the support level. Now we're going for potentially going for the 1618. I would expect 35, and then watch out again. We may get another retrace. Classic, classic, classic price action. Another guru who I'll be live with here in a little bit was like, why did Mara stop? I was like, because it hit the 1272. Crickets. Watch for that move up to 35 and watch for the resistance. What do I expect on the earnings? I talked about that yesterday. Mara is very transparent on how many Bitcoins they've mined, what they are doing. They announce every single month. They put out a press release with their what they expect to do, what they've done, how they're managing their money, and so earnings should have no surprises. eBay, nice pop. Looks like we're rejecting the head and shoulders. Usually a head and shoulders rejection. We'll take it. Obviously didn't draw the head and shoulders line properly. We could be heading up to that price right there at 53. ALB continues the ridiculousness. Resistance up at the roadmap line. Turn that down now. Resistance up here at 145. Can continue the march lower. ACMR. Industrial machinery. That's not a chart for me, but I mean, you can play that if you want to. We may break out. I mean, possible. It's possible. A few things here. Potentially, this is going to keep going. Yeah, I'd be cautious. We're not above that 618 level. If we can get above that consolidation right there, then I might be interested. Looking for 59, possibly 73. But below that, we could see another bounce down pretty severely at this point. Let's just speculate. We hit the 618. Yeah, we could come back down to this $15 area. That's a 50% haircut from where we are right now. Oh man, low priced and med tech. Ugh. There's iBit again. BITB. All these ETFs hitting the list this morning. Quick. Choppy sideways. Not really going anywhere. It's going nowhere fast. Decliners. SMCI. Come on, just drop. Please just drop. I'm almost sick of talking about it. I'd love to just drop and we just quit talking about it. CNXC. Looks like that's going on down. In a blaze of glory. Target right now. Somewhere right here. Remember, be conservative. And when we're on the way down, conservative is coming above the fib line. So 62, 63, maybe 64. Then maybe 50, 51 below that. I thought Remember, IPOs, not bullish. Even though that one went on a tear, IPOs are not bullish. 99% of IPOs will end up at a lower price before they find a bottom. How much lower? I don't know. Can't really say. I can pull up dozens of examples, but looks like we may extend down to 45 before we find the bottom, possibly. Entirely possible that this level right here is where we find the bottom. We'll see what happens there. Maybe. That may never cross my list again. NVIDIA being ridiculous. UNH, subject of a antitrust, I think it was. Is that the news this morning? Yeah, antitrust investigation from the U.S. For good old Uncle Sam. Whatever. It's like the biggest provider of Medicare or whatever in the United States. I don't know how you build the monopoly and then do an antitrust against the monopoly that you just built. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? I mean, whatever. Somebody made somebody mad, results in an antitrust. That's. Bet if we dug into it, somebody peed in somebody's Cheerios. And PANW gives me a little bit of concern. Please don't go full boat. This was a super aggressive entry I took. And I took it in shares because I'm not sure how long this might take. Old Nancy P, buying deep in the money $200 calls out to January. I mean, maybe she knows there's a government contract coming around. Maybe. I don't know. We don't know yet. Watch for this one to find resistance. We could go a little lower. I do have a downside right here. All right. My upside target's 413, 453. Let's see what happens. Nat gas has been pretty horrible. FNGU needs a retrace. IS. Oh. How low can she go? I bet we're heading down here. I would bet we're heading on down. $7, $8. DY. That was down in the pre-market. Now it's flat. Upside target right there at 127, 135. Roadmap line, 105. Downside. LABU, we already mentioned briefly. That one's just being ridiculous. 220 upside. Lemonade. Choppy sideways. $6 downside. That's a lower high. It's higher than this high, but lower than this high. Choppy sideways with a bias for going down to 6. AMAT. Keeps being crazy. Watch out for the retrace. We get another retrace. That could be an opportunity to get long in AMAT. It took a long time for that head and shoulders to play out right there. That was the head and shoulders target right there. We blew through it. And watch out for the retrace. DV, Delta Victor, double vision, double topped, double verify. Excuse me, not double vision, double verify. And back to the roadmap line would be where I would expect. And then maybe we can work on a breakout. Not huge upside at this point. CYTK looks like it wants to come back to the roadmap line. Gap fill. It's biotech pharma. Biomedtech pharma. I don't know. I need some fancy pharma medtech. Biopharma medtech. I don't know. Biopharma medtech. ARM probably gonna go down. I think yesterday someone was like, JT, you're wrong on ARM. Guess what? Not yet. Probably gonna fill that gap. Could we make a new high before we go down there? Sure, but I'm strongly of the opinion we're gonna fill that gap. Strongly of that opinion. SMH needs to come back. All these All this stuff sitting way, all these semiconductor ETFs and leveraged semiconductor ETFs. There's a 3x bull. They're all extended on the upside and probably need a retrace. BIDU. Just chopping. I'm going to buy a few shares of that. $4. That does decay, though. Be careful. PDD. Choppy sideways. China's just choppy sideways. Baba hunt for a breakout. Baidu. China's unreliable, so Baidu popping down on earnings. Earnings for something from China is bullcrap. You remember this one? Anybody remember this from the pandemic? You remember that? Made crazy, delisted, relisted. I got in and then got to sit through the delisting. Then luckily it relisted right before my options expired. I actually came out ahead. Thank you, somebody looking out for me. I had too much money involved in this, and it taught me another lesson not to trade China. They completely manufactured their sales data. Nobody verifies China stuff. Like, they play by different rules. They don't have the auditing and accounting requirements. So PDD, chopping in there too. So I've played a number of China things over the years, and I keep getting reminded not to trade China. So I very reluctantly trade China things these days. I do have some Baidu. I have like one contract, long term, on the pattern, but so far it's not doing it. Not doing it for me. We've got a measured bounce here. We need to break above the roadmap line, get some confirmation that we're going higher, but not yet. Not yet. Hadn't done it yet. Potential is up here like 200, but not yet. Buys for the day. Just grind it. We got the PCE numbers tomorrow, so be careful. It's kind of like CPI, but different. They take out food and energy just like they do CPI. So, like, does it even matter? I mean, food and energy. Like, raise your hand if you live life without buying food or energy, or I didn't think so. I mean, it's the most ridiculous idea ever. Let's just take out food and energy and we'll do the inflation numbers that way. Are you freaking kidding me? I mean, what kind of bullshit is that? Whatever. Anyway, PCE numbers coming out tomorrow. Maybe a market mover. So be careful. They're coming out right here at 8:30. Right there, 8:30. PCE, unemployment claims. See what happens, all right? That's Jerome Powell's favorite measure of the economy. I don't know why, whatever. But those come in hot. Rate raise is, that may be the last, I think that's the last read we'll get on PCE before they do the next FOMC meeting. I don't remember when the next FOMC is off the top of my head. Coming up quickly, though. Let's see. Wednesday. Not that one. So it must be this week. There it is, right there. Next FOMC coming up on Wednesday, the 20th. So about 1, 2, 3 weeks away. And I think this is the last PCE read we'll get before then. And the next one will be after that. Yeah. Caution. Caution is advised. All right. Well, that was it for the day. That's all I got. And anything I said was helpful, beneficial, let me know. Any key takeaways? Leave them in the chat. Leave them in the comments. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. Back at it. We'll chase down what's moving and see what's happening.